Okay, yeah, I hear myself. Okay, bandsaws. Before I start, I'll just say that in preparing to do this, I was figuring that somebody sitting here, probably more than a few of you, know more than I do about bandsaws already. So if you're in that boat, bear with me please, and give me any pointers you can add through the next few minutes. Some people actually, in their survey we did over the last 2 weeks, asked for demos on different tools, including the bandsaw, a safety demo, and how to adjust. And what if the bandsaw is not adjusted properly when I start downstairs, or my home shopping? So we're going to go over some safety, some basic adjustments with bandsaws in general. This bandsaw is not one of ours downstairs, as you may know. It was brought in by Terry. I wanted to borrow a saw that was very portable, so thanks Terry, where'd Terry go, for bringing the saw in. I appreciate that. I'm going to start off by saying, when you first walk into a shop, your shop, or certainly a shop you don't know very well, which could be downstairs, you shouldn't assume the bandsaw is set up properly or that it's safe to use, because it very well may not be. If this is my shop I was walking into, first thing I would do is look around the shop and see there's a cord across the floor here, which for me is a tripping hazard. If there's pieces of wood and sawdust and cracks on the floor, vacuum hoses, all that stuff is a potential safety hazard. If you're going to stand still and do some work and you slip, it's not very good. Second thing, I wore this shirt on purpose tonight. To work on a bandsaw, fixing it up, do some cutting, I got a long sleeve, loose shirt, not good. I would not wear this shirt to work on a bandsaw. Roll sleeves up, or better yet, don't wear the shirt at all. That's what I would do. Now, a bit about bandsaws. This saw, you'll notice at the top says it's a 10-inch bandsaw, but it's a lot smaller than many 9-inch bandsaws. It's smaller looking. The size of the bandsaw, ours downstairs are 14-inch. It usually refers to simply the depth from the blade across to the body of the saw there. How wide a piece can you get to the left of the blade? This is 10 inches. Most 10-inch bandsaws are going to have two 10-inch wheels inside of them. A 10-inch wheel, 10-inch diameter wheel up here, a 10-inch diameter wheel on the bottom. This third wheel is a bit unusual. Ours downstairs don't have that. They've got an upper wheel and a lower wheel. In almost all cases I've ever seen, the lower wheel is attached to the motor and drives the saw. This is a 3-wheel saw, which in a way is kind of smart. It's small and compact, so in a big wheel and a taller unit, you get more depth across this way, which is kind of useful to me. This saw, before I get into doing any adjustments on it, does have a dust port on the far end over here for, I believe it's for a 2-inch vacuum hose. Most saws have a dust port somewhere. Bandsaws, I heard someone say to me in the shop just a few weeks ago, one of the big problems is complacency. And that's true of any tool, especially if you use the tool a lot, use it for decades. You know, I know how to do it. You forget about safety, and you take things for granted. Especially if it's a new saw, or you haven't used it recently. You go in and think it's a regular old bandsaw, turn it on, and something's different. So complacency is a danger. It's not the dustiest machine in the shop, not the noisiest machine in the shop, but it does make dust, it does make noise. So yes, you should have a dust mask on, or a dust port vacuum hooked up, or both. And hearing protection is not nearly as bad as a jointer or a planer, but if you're doing a lot of stuff with any machine, the noise adds up cumulatively and it can have an effect. Glasses are also advised, glasses or a face shield with any machine you're going to use. Show of hands if you ever ran out of bandsaw when the blade either broke or kinked and jumped the track. More than half, about half of us here. If you weren't, for an instant at least, kind of scared shitless, you're not human, because it's a scary experience. It happens once and you jump back, you think it's going to explode. In my experience at least, when the blade catches something or breaks, it makes a hell of a noise, and then it stops spinning, and usually what it's done is broken or it's jumped the wheel's still spinning, the blade's somewhere off of there, not doing too much. But it is a scary thing, and you don't want to do that too often. A, it ruins the blade. B, it's potentially dangerous, especially if you're close to it. Jewelry. Most safety videos you see will say take off jewelry. Now why take off your rings and your watch and everything else? You don't have to, I suppose. And I don't take my rings off when I do motor working, but here's the reason why. If I'm in here and I inadvertently catch my finger on that blade, what will happen to my flesh? It'll get cut and I'll bleed. And I'll feel it instantly and pull my hand away. If I catch my ring on there, it's going to get grabbed by that blade and pull me into the blade more and cause more potential damage. Same with a watch band. So to be safe, you shouldn't have those things on, really, with any machinery. Okay, walking up to the saw. The table, this table is already fairly secure. And most tables, this one included on the back side of the table, have a little knob or a lever that allows you to tilt the table, which this one does pretty nicely. Something we all assume with our table saw, that the blade is perpendicular to the table. With our bandsaw, the blade is perpendicular to the table, which is often not the case. We have tri-squares, L-shaped metal squares down the shop. They're there for a reason. You can easily check your blade, and if with this saw, all you do is adjust the table to the blade. So I would raise the guard. This is the guard piece in front. On the back of the saw, or the side of the saw, there's a little knob you turn, and you can then lower or raise the blade. This was smart that it came into the shop today like that. Someone plugs it in, turns it on, it's safe right away. You can't really cut yourself without trying to. If it's transported or left in our shop like that, someone walks over and turns it on, it automatically could cut somebody because there's no guard down there. We'll talk about the guard when we're on the guard. The guard can go up and down all the way. Read up online, read in some of these books that I brought up from the library about how high above your workpiece should the guard be. Well, the books say, and I think it's probably true, between an eighth of an inch and a half inch. So I go with a quarter inch as a good guideline. If I'm cutting this piece of wood, I would have the guard set so that it's about a quarter inch above the piece of wood. That's all you need. If it's an irregular shaped piece of wood, that could have an effect. But that space I've got there is a little less than a quarter of an inch. Would be fine to cut with this bandsaw. Cutting this kind of a piece and wondering where my hands can be safely. Again, read some books, look online. What's the safe distance to any blade? People often say 2 to 3 inches. Any closer than that, you're in what they call the red zone, blood zone. It's dangerous. This saw can cut a finger as fast as almost anything other than a table saw that's down there, I think. It is potentially dangerous. I mean, if I ask for who knows somebody who's lost a tip of a finger or some fingers, I have a shop teacher, a father, and an uncle. They all lost parts of fingers on either a table saw or a bandsaw. It's not that uncommon. Looking up some stats, there's 10 people every day in the States who lose fingers on bandsaws. Just on bandsaws. So it happens a lot. Using cutting the piece of wood through there, this is a push stick I've got at home on my bandsaw with a magnet in it so I can stick it on the saw. I've got a metal case on mine so it sticks there where I want it to stick. It's always around. You won't stick in this one, I don't think, it's all in plastic. But anyways, to push this piece through, if I were to stand with hands on both sides and push it through the saw when it's turned on, I could do that from far enough. This is a small piece of wood. If I'm right at the ends, going straight through. But you would never, of course, have your fingers in front of the blade pushing towards it. And it can happen. If I had to cut just a centimeter off the end of that piece, temptation is to want to hold it close to it to support it. Well, so this thing's for it. You can put that on there, or even better still, a nice square piece, or a sacrificial piece, and then push your piece through, and you're going to save your fingers. Nothing I've got. What's wrong with that? See what I've got right there? Bad news, right? I've right into the blade with my whole hand. If you want a hand on that side, and away on this side. Something that's unusual with the bandsaw, I think it's kind of odd, but it is safe, and I've seen it documented in safety videos, is pulling the wood through. If I was ripping this piece of wood, it's really narrow. I want to have something to hold it from the back and push it. But once it's partway through, it's okay, instead of pushing it here, to grab it behind the blade actually, and simply draw it through to finish the cut. If your hand's back here, it's pretty hard for your hand to get hit by the blade. So you can draw it through that way, from the back side of the blade. And you go on from there to round stock. This is a little log-shaped thing I brought in from home. And I have had the bad experience of cutting logs on my bandsaw. And I've lost a blade by doing it. Not a finger, but a blade. Looks innocent enough. But when you're trying to cut something round, the principle on the bandsaw is the blade's going down. All the force is down onto the wood and into that table. And the table, which I hope is stable and tight and it's secure now, so it won't wobble, the table is going to take all the force through the wood. Right now, the blade is at the very back of this piece of wood, the circular piece of wood, and it's going to want to push into that wood, and it's going to force that wood to spin in this direction, because the blade's only pushing on one side of the circle, right? The front's got no force on it. So it's going to want to pivot quickly, and you think, well, that's okay. It might be if you're holding it ultra securely, but it's hard to do that. So this is a prime way to get a bad catch, to jam the saw, break the blade, and scare the crap out of yourself. This can help. This is simply a piece of wood, put it on there so you can see with a V-shaped cut out of it. This is for our bandsaw downstairs. It says on it that it is a pepper mill jig, for cutting pepper mill lengths to length, I assume. So what you would do with this is you would put the round piece of stock onto the jig. This wouldn't fit through the saw, I don't think quite. It's too tall. But if it was a taller throat, it'd be okay here. And then you would cut either at the end like this, which is possible, because then you've got the wood's bearing on two pieces of the underneath block, so it can't spin so easily. You've got more to hold on to here to pull it through. Or you can cut right through the lower block. It should be one that you don't care about. Cut right through it as you're holding the top piece on. It's much, much safer that way. I don't have one of these at home. I didn't take it out myself. This one's from our shop downstairs. But this I've got at home. A clamp. What I've done before is you take the clamp and clamp it onto it nice and securely. Crank it right down tight. And now, if I'm going to cut this piece, I know the force is going to be right there pushing down. I can hold the wood and the clamp, and I've got much more leverage on this clamp, and my hand's far from the action over there, so it's safer than simply holding the wood by itself.
It's also okay if you put the clamp on the table and then the clamp.
Right on the table, and then the clamp is going to, it won't move. The clamp's resting itself on the table at the back here, so it's going to hold.
It should be at the front, so that you get
the long part of the front, you mean?
Yeah.
Turned around. If I have it like that right now, it's going to want to. You want to flip, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to flip. So.
I put clamp on either side.
Does anybody out there think they're as stupid as I am? Don't raise your hand. Probably, somebody might be, sometimes. I once tried to cut a piece of wood, a log, a log with a branch on it. So I wanted to cut this branch out here off it, so I'm holding this kind of like this. And I start cutting it, of course, and the ground wood wrenches it and makes a hell of a noise, and not smart. You have to at least have something resting on the table. Common sense. I don't have much of that.
When I cut round stuff like that, I roll it with the blade, which then stops it from jamming.
So you're cutting a circumference around this because you're rolling it into the blade in a very controlled fashion.
And it does go through evenly.
Yep.
Right through. I've done that downstairs on the van, and then rolling it, because actually Kate's the one that told me to do that.
Yep.
And it made a big difference.
It's been safer, more stable.
Because it is moving then and it can't get a chance to jam.
Yep, good, good.